My favorite microphone is the AKG 414. I think I have an old XL2 from the early 90s. Multiple polar patterns, large diaphragm, great microphone, very versatile. I use it on vocals, I use it on pianos. I've done almost everything with that 414, and it's actually still kicking. Lately in the studios, the C800 by Sony and the AKG C12 are kind of like, really upper end microphones. I feel like they're the upper end and the 414 is the lower end of the 1,000 plus microphones. And most of my students don't have access to those mics. I think for me, the AKG 414 is just kind of the all-around microphone. My monitors are the NS10s, and the NS10s are in danger of not being able to be replaced because they're made from some rare tree that's not growing anymore, or some story I've been hearing for the last decade and a half. But they're still my favorite monitors, and they're my favorite monitors because they sound horrible. My classic Sennheiser moment is every time I've ever tried to mic drums. I don't even understand how you mic drums without the 421s. It doesn't even make sense to me. So I've got a 57 on the snare. I've got 421s on my tom-toms. I probably will have something. There was the old AKG D12, not the D112, not the egg-shaped one, but the old boxy-looking D12. That was my favorite kick mic. But 421s they're solid. The dynamic response handles the transients of tom-toms really well. So anytime I've ever mic'd drums up, and that Mary J. Blige record was one of those records where we had a live drummer on that. And every time I see a drum kit in my head, I see 421s on the toms. The last time something went wrong in a session for me that I really, really recall is probably like 1990, so that's about 27 years ago. I was doing a television show. Ooh, what was that show called? It was like a cop show, like a New York cop type of thing. And in that show, they had a nightclub scene in every show. And the group that I was working with, Jodeci, was going to be in this nightclub scene. So we had this master tape and a song. We were doing a remake of if you wait until the night, something like that. We're of an old R&B classic. We were doing a remake, and we were working on analog tape. And analog tape does not have an undo button. So you see where this story's going. So the second day we did the fixes, and somewhere along the day, I erased some of the stuff that he liked, and he said, "Let me hear that piece that I like again." And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't know what to do. So I sat and thought, and I said, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll take the DAT copy that we made yesterday, and I'll fuse it in. Well, the DAT copy was the entire composition. It wasn't just the vocal. So I said, hey guys, take a little break, and I'll have that piece for you to listen to in a few minutes. So the funny thing is, I was really trying to save my butt by taking the DAT and placing it on a 2-inch tape and lining it up in the correct section. And when we listened back to it, it had this really phasey swish when they came back in. And they were like, wow, that's really cool. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm glad you like it, because I was really, really just trying to save my butt. And it was, one of those things that kind of bothered me, but I was really, really happy that everyone was pleased with it.